Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Encom Media. We are your hosts. My name is Ocean Suviano.
I'm Taylor Vera.
And on this episode today, ladies and gentlemen, we bring you your weekly dose of Star Wars, namely through the original series titled Andor. We are going to be doing a episode 7 and 8 breakdown / review. It's my fault we missed a week, so like usual. For some reason I had something going on. I don't even remember what I was doing. But we are going to bring to you both episodes today and talk about the changes and the things that happened. Quite a bit happened, quite a bit to talk about, and some exciting stuff. So we'll do this in traditional fashion. Spoiler-free review real fast. Real fast. Score, and then on to spoilers. So real fast. Spoiler-free review. Taylor, what do you got for me?
I want to try to keep this shorter.
Yeah. Real
episode 7, 5.
Oh, damn.
Episode 8, 6.
Wow. We're just going straight to score. No spoiler-free review. All right. So spoiler-free review. All right. Score. I'm going to go episode 7. Trying to remember what was episode 7, what was episode 8. Episode 7 ended with him going to jail. So, oh, shit. Spoiler.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go one more. I'm gonna go 6 and 7. Right? You went 5 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go 6 and 7.
Yeah.
6. Score 6 for episode 7. Episode 8 is gonna be a 7 for me. And the main reason why is honestly has to do with everything Empire-esque. So we'll dive more into that as we get into the spoilers, but there's some very specific things that I am enjoying during this series, and that's kind of holding the series together, and especially episode 8, a lot of new things are happening.
8 has a lot more going on than 7. In fact, 7, honestly, first half of that episode is basically just recap, kind of, and then the second half is when we get new stuff, and then 8 is pretty much all new stuff. Yeah.
All right, that's your spoiler-free / spoiler or / score section, ladies and gentlemen. I still recommend watching the show.
Yep.
Something to watch every week, and I think we're headed for some fun things. So check it out if you haven't seen it already. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, this is your official
spoiler alert.
All right, diving right into spoilers because a lot to talk about, not a lot of time to do it. Episode 7, I don't really all I really remember from episode 7 was him going back to Ferrix after splitting up with Vel and everybody else and taking the money and taking his share, right? And then he went back to Ferrix and tried to convince his mommy to leave. But apparently his mom is a rebel through and through.
Yep.
Can't abandon her post. Will never.
First general order.
Yeah. I was literally just going to recite it. She's not abandoning her post. She's to the death.
She
for
is
the cause.
The rebellion.
Yeah. Yeah, so she doesn't want to leave, and then he leaves anyway and goes off to some beach planet.
Yeah, we get to see Space Miami.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, except really shitty.
Yeah, so Space Miami.
Yeah. Goes off to, there and gets, does what you do in Miami. Obviously.
Welcome to Miami.
Yeah. Some not
super
not
cool.
safe for work.
It's a very cool settings and stuff, especially for Star Wars. It's
the biggest plus to come out of that was the shore troopers.
Yeah, shore troopers are cool. We don't get to see them very much, so I'm glad they're back.
The shore troopers were sick to see, and also
we do get a droid.
We get I don't know their droid designations. Hey,
I forget.
But they're not. K2SO is specifically that droid, right? From Rogue One.
That was his
droid class,
his designator,
right? Yeah.
But that droid, K2SO's like model unit or whatever,
Yeah, I don't remember the
is in the show. There's a couple of them.
I ain't gonna lie. When I saw it rising up in my head, I was like, "Oh my god, we're about to see the origin of K2SO."
No,
But nah,
no, it's just a.
this
little
droid was
tease.
like, "Boy, get up against the wall. What are you doing here?"
Yeah, because the short trooper's like, doesn't he say like hang him or something? Or like,
No, it says, oh no, they say hang here or something, or
yeah, something to that
Yeah.
extent. It was, but the droid, of course, takes it literal.
Just
So he picks him up and like chokes him up against
Yeah.
the wall.
oh,
And he's like, "No, he meant watch."
droid didn't care.
Yeah, he's like, "Nope, he said hang."
Maybe that's some. Well, I think that's definitely foreshadowing.
Yeah,
You know, I think obviously we're gonna get K2SO at some
it's
point.
teasing for the.
It's
future.
just making us have to wait a little bit longer. So he ends up getting like grouped into these people that had doing some kind of public disturbance. Like he was just on his way to what I'm guessing is to get more drugs.
Something.
Pretty
like
sure
that.
is
Yeah.
what he was doing.
Let's go into some
But-
kind of store.
Yeah, he was just strolling down the beach, and then this group of people ran past him, and some shore troopers were chasing him, and the shore troopers just assumed that he was part of them.
Yeah,
And I
I
was
don't
like, huh.
really know why.
I don't know why either,
It's very strange and coincidence, I
but
guess.
if there's one thing that we can expect from the Empire is for them to just do dumb stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
Just,
for sure. But yeah, it's just weird. On top of that, I think this episode we get a little bit of coverage with Vel after the fact.
Oh right. So,
And it's weird that she's just kind of in Coruscant
Yeah,
and she's
so-
dressed up like super nice.
Ferrix, well, because Coruscant, she would look out of place if she.
Well, I know,
wasn't,
but it's
yeah.
weird for her to go from, what we
Rebel-
last saw her
rebel
as a
spy
rebel
to-
in the
Yeah.
the shit, and then go to this. I'm a
I'm a
royalty.
pretty
Like
woman.
it's like okay,
Yeah, no, it was weird, and the
'Cause she
person
wa-
that met her, that was
it's
the assistant, right?
Yes,
to
the
Luthen?
the assistant with Luthen. It's like his radar operator or whatever.
Yeah, I don't remember her name now.
Oh.
Yeah, I think you have the cast list. So we see that, and the reason why we see that is because Vel is charged with tying up loose ends from the Aldani operation, specifically to tie up the loose end of Cassian Andor. So she is basically told by Luthen and his people to kill Cassian Andor to make sure that he can't whistle blow on Luthen, which is kind of somewhat expected. I think, I think if we're looking at what Luthen is as far as being a spy and a rebel and whatnot, it makes sense that he would want to tie up loose ends. Obviously, I think some people, because this is the rebel story and we're, rooting for the good guys here, we don't want to think that way, right? We don't want to think that it makes sense to tie up those loose ends, and we wouldn't want to wish that our heroes would want to kill people in order to keep them silent. But it makes sense, it makes sense to make sure that things can't be tied back to you, so that you can continue your operation.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate realities, I
Right.
guess.
Obviously, Vel is not successful because otherwise Rogue One would just whatever.
Yeah, well, that and
but-
then nobody knows where he is because he gets.
Right. So because nobody knows where he is, because he's actually. Oh no, not that one. Oh no, not that one. He's in jail.
Yeah, obviously he gets arrested, put
Yeah.
in prison.
So, because of the Aldani attack, the Empire put out this PORD, PORD. The shit, I thought I remembered what it was called.
Public order
Public order
resentencing directive.
resentencing directive, I think.
Yeah.
And it's basically they are just they're making punishments for crimes way harsher in order to try and deter people from causing crime. So something that would have been like a 6 months detainment for Cassian Andor, like he would have just been in jail for like 6 months because he was part of civil unrest or whatever, is now a 6-year sentence, which is
Well, it gets doubled. For him, his particular offense is just long
Yeah.
anyways, but
Right.
everybody in prison gets doubled.
yeah. So it's just to deter more rebel activity,
Yeah.
basically, right? And oh man, it's harsh. I mean, imagine you're just walking down the street, right, headed to the store to buy some candy,
Yeah.
and you get stopped by a droid, and then all of a sudden you're in jail for 6 years. Like
Yeah.
that's insane. And I realize there's some parallels to that in some messed up things that happen in today's society, but it's crazy to see in there. So he ends up in jail. There's some other stuff that happens in episode 7 though. We get development on Mon Mothma's or not Mon Mothma.
Friend.
Is this her name is
Yeah.
Mon Mothma? Yeah, all right, my bad. So we get development on Mon Mothma's desire to bring another person into the fold of trying to help the rebellion. And it's this guy, what is his name? I want to say Fry, I think, or something like that.
No, it's Tay.
Tay. And he's another fellow senator. Oh no, he's a banker. Sorry, he's a banker, and she is asking him for help to be able to access her family funds in order to move stuff around and whatnot. And it's clear to me that there are more politicians and senators and people of high influence that do not necessarily agree with the empire and what is happening. And she found somebody that was willing to help her, right? Or she's at least trying to.
Yeah.
So we'll see what comes of this. I'm a little disappointed it's not Senator Organa, but maybe that'll come later. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe down the
Because
line.
I think it might, because this ties into episode 8 when, which we can talk about later, but they talk about all these different factions of the rebellion, which they're not a bona fide rebellion yet because they're not working together. They're all individual from each other. And Senator Organa led his own version of that on Alderaan. So maybe later on in the season it'll all tie together. But
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it'll come in a later season, but
yeah, so this is the first step. At least we're starting to see her branch out. Luthen made some big waves with the Aldani attack. The rebellion is starting to gain some traction, and in return, the Empire is just slowly closing their fist on everybody, which plays directly into the hand of the rebels. That's exactly what they wanted. And we see an update on Cyril's storyline. Cyril gets a job at the Department of Public something.
yeah, I don't
Some
know.
dumb
boring
department,
yeah.
governmental department where he's just
It's like accounting or something.
yeah, whatever. And he continues his lifelong quest of righting the wrong of 2 corporals being killed, and because it's a matter of public safety.
Well, now he's trying to clear his name.
Yeah. So they added that in where he's trying to clear his name, which I understand to a certain extent. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I don't like you. Like, you have a very punchable face that I just don't care.
Yeah.
But I guess I understand that you're just trying to clear your name.
Yeah. I don't know. He's kind of. I mean, I feel like he's just gradually getting more and more irritating.
Yeah, a little bit. He uses his low level government job to try and get information on Ferrix and try and find Cassian Andor so he can clear his name, blah, blah, blah. And then it gets flagged by the ISB and Lieutenant,
Miro?
Is that her name? Miro?
Yeah.
Lieutenant Miro, she flags the activity because now she is in charge of the Morlana 1 sector. I thought that exchange was really cool. Like when they're all sitting in there talking and what's his face tries
You're talking about the officers?
Yeah. When
that was really good. The interrogation.
Oh, no. That's episode 8. Yeah. I thought it was really good. And so this is what I meant in the spoiler-free section or the score section of there's very specific things that I am enjoying that is keeping me interested in this show. And it's pretty much specifically everything to do with the Empire and how the Empire works. We're getting a very, in my opinion, a very detailed look at how the Empire conducts their business in order to maintain control and order. And I really like that, not necessarily because I am a fan of the Empire, but more so just because we've never seen it before, right? The Empire has always been this entity that we know of and was established, but we never understand exactly how they do things. But now we're getting a look at how do they maintain the order that they have imposed, and how did they get to the point where they had the entire galaxy in the palm of their hand and was able to manipulate it. So I think it's really cool. And it starts with stuff like this, right? It starts with, a public order resentencing directive or whatever. And it doesn't seem like a lot to some people, but it's a big deal, right? They talk about it in episode 8 amongst the senators. They're talking about how, we're trading our security and order, or security and freedom to make sure we have order and to make sure we have that we're safe, right? And I think one of the senators says, well, if you have nothing to hide, then what's the deal? Or if you're not doing anything wrong, what's the big deal? So it's just, I don't know, I really like this stuff. I really like that
it's really good. It implies a lot of real ideologies into the show.
100%. Yeah, 100% for sure. Hopefully we don't see too much of Zero, but I think we will. We'll see. Yes, we'll see what happens.
Unfortunately,
that's pretty much the gist of everything that happens in episode 7. Like Taylor said, it's not a very eventful episode, but it does lead to the eventuality that Andor is now in prison.
Yeah, right? Honestly, it's probably the biggest thing that comes out of that episode.
For sure. But it's a filler episode, right? It just kind of pushes storylines along. We see a little bit of Ferrix and how Ferrix is changing now that it's under direct rule or direct rule of the Empire or whatever. But so now Andor is in prison. We're now in episode 8, right? Beginning of episode 8, we see Andor transferred to
Narkina 5, I think.
Narkina 5, yeah. Narkina 5 is the name of the planet. And he is put in a labor camp, and we see Andy Serkis. When I saw him on screen, I was like, all right.
Finally got Andy Serkis.
All right. I think it's great. I love Andy Serkis, and this role that he's playing of the floor manager, I think it's amazing. We don't really get to see Andy Serkis do a whole lot of serious roles, I guess, or I don't want to say villain roles because he's a prisoner himself. He just happens to be the leader of the prisoners.
Yeah,
and he's charged to maintain order, right? So it's not really a villain role per se, but it's just not really a nice role either.
I mean, it's not really either one. It's just...
Yeah. But usually, he does a lot of voice acting, right? And he does a lot of like unusual roles, I would say.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. And we've actually seen a little bit of him recently. He was in the Batman, right?
Yeah, he's in the Batman. He's in Black Panther.
Oh yeah, he is in Batman.
He's in King Kong.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, he's been.
Of course, he's Gollum.
Oh yeah, obviously the GOAT. But it's just nice to see him. I love Andy
No,
Serkis.
he's great.
I don't.
For me, he actually was the standout for this episode.
Yeah, I love Andy Serkis. He's also kind of built.
Well, for Black Panther, he was kind of
Yeah, he was jacked.
kind
for
of
Black
jacked.
Panther.
Yeah. Normally he's pretty like skinny, but
Yeah.
he got jacked for
Kinda,
Black
he
Panther.
got beefed up.
Even as Alfred, he's kind of
Yeah, he was a little beefed up.
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
pretty solid.
I hope we see more of him. I hope he, and this is one of those situations where like, this is kind of just something that is known, right? You don't cast somebody with the name recognition of Andy Serkis to only have a like real minor role,
Yeah.
right? Like typically, usually you don't.
Generally, yeah.
So I'm hoping that this rule applies to this show where we're going to see a lot of Andy Serkis and he's going to have a major part in what happens to Cassian Andor. So I'm excited to see more of him. So Cassian gets sent to this labor camp, and it's a really interesting prison / labor camp because they go about their show of force or determined in a very interesting way. You want to explain how they go about keeping prisoners in check?
Yeah, so when they first enter the prison and they have all these new inmates, right? Fresh transfers in.
Fresh meat.
The moment they're arrested and they're separated onto their ships to go to their separate facilities, they make it a point to let you know that they have to take off their shoes.
Right.
Then it comes into play once they get to the prison. After they have their little introduction thing from the prison warden kind of guy or whatever, he just pulls out this thing and is like, "Oh, you must be wondering why we don't have weapons." First of all, I mean, to me, like, no, that wouldn't be any particular question that I would be asking because
that wouldn't be the
you
first
don't
thought I
really
had,
need a
yeah.
weapon because let's be honest, like, just because you don't have a gun, that doesn't mean that somebody else around the corner doesn't have one or someone in the tower doesn't have one.
Exactly.
So it's a stupid question, but it's really just to show, all right, this is how we keep you in check. And he just pulls out this button and just presses the trigger, and they get like violently shocked.
Yeah, it's like a taser on steroids.
Right, like to get the effect, it looks like they got tased.
Yeah.
Like, the acting.
But
But to the extent that they're trying to make it in the show, it's like your near death level of shocking.
it was like when they show them being shocked or whatever it is, they were like contorted, like exorcism
Like
level contorted.
if you can picture a patient going through electroshock therapy, this is the kind of reaction you're getting. Yeah.
It was kind of nuts. I like once he pulled the button, I was like, okay, there's some kind of like sound or shock thing, but I didn't expect it to be that violent. Like it was like,
Yeah, because when the guards enter, it's kind of stupid looking.
the boots.
The space boots that
Well,
they're wearing.
we know why.
I mean, I know why it's there, but you don't need these freaking stupid looking boots. Right?
so
It's just to emphasize
My question
point.
is, what's with all the orange in this show? There's so much orange going on. Orange in the corpos uniforms, orange in the boots, orange in the like. Obviously, prison uniforms are stereotypically orange, but like
Plain colors, yeah.
like come on. What's
Yeah, I don't know,
orange?
but the boots just look weird.
Yeah,
I'm not a
they're
fan of it.
very toy boot looking.
Like if you wanted to look like you're wearing some astronaut boots, these are the boots you'd be wearing.
Yeah. Obviously, it's very foreboding of the fact that you have to be wearing these
like
boots,
I said, it's just to
gonna-
enforce the.
Yeah.
Or
It's going to come
emphasize
into
the
play
point.
later on. They're going to have to acquire boots in order to
To get out.
escape the
Yeah.
prison or whatever. So,
This whole prison segment, though, I really enjoyed.
yeah.
It's very like I guess detailed. The only problem I had with this entire time is Cassian. He honestly pisses me off in this episode because of how the way he acts, which is doing nothing. And
well,
I don't.
I think it was just straight shock. I think he was just so. I think he was so unbelievably shocked that a couple days ago he was having fun in the sun, and now he's in prison at a labor camp for at least 6 years. And so, like, I think he's just just to the bone shell shock.
Yeah, which is a very reasonable reaction for somebody to have. I don't believe Cassian should have this reaction, especially for as long as he does through this episode, because the time period actually jumps pretty far, like from the first 8 to 30 days, and he doesn't change.
Yeah.
He acts the same.
I don't think so. I think the difference in between those two. So you are right. In the beginning, he just basically does nothing, right? He gets introduced to his table, and he gets the lowdown of what he's going to be doing, and the fact that he's got to be, building this stuff, and the least performing table gets zapped, the highest performing table wins, or whatever, and then he ends up on a table that is like the bottom of the barrel, right? And so.
Well, only because they're one man down.
Yeah, they were all went down. There's an old man on the team. A lot of them looked a little bit on the older side. Not to say old people suck or anything, but just, and then everything, right? Going through the whole process of going to bed, and the fact that you eat out of a tube in the wall. Like, he's just shocked, right? And then we get a time jump. It says that there was 30 days that passed. And at that point, I think what it is he is just like so ingrained in the routine that he just is emotionless. Like, he's kind of, I don't know if he's accepted the fact that he's just going to be there for the next 6 years, but I think he's kind of just accepted what he's doing in the moment. Because you see him sit on the bed, eat, drink out of the tube, and then line up. Like, he's very with the program, and then he's just emotionless like the whole time. Like, he's just very.
I would believe that if he didn't. There's a scene where they're on the table working, and then the old man starts fumbling and stuff, and he just sits there, and he's just like, and that's when Andy Serkis comes in,
right?
And he's like, "What are you doing? Taking a break? If you've been there for 30 days." It doesn't take that long to realize that you shouldn't be doing that. So if you were used to that, then you shouldn't be doing that. You would know that. The reason why I say this is because this might be not really a shock to some people, I guess. But when you join the military in basic training, it's kind of like prison in the sense that you do what you're told, you go to where you need to go, and you do whatever they tell you to do. Same thing happens in prison. The difference is usually most people, when you're told what to do, you just take that and you do it. Right. But throughout the entire first day, he does nothing. Every single time somebody tells him something, he just stands there and just blankly stares. And he's like, oh, okay. And then watches, like, everybody starts freaking out around him, and he still just stands there.
Yeah.
And then 30 days again, like I said, would make sense by that point. He should be somewhat used to that, but he acts pretty much the same way. The only difference is he actually works.
Right.
But then he makes that stupid mistake again, and is like, okay, that's a little weird.
I see what you're saying.
And the reason why I have a problem with this is because, to me, Cassian seems like a person that should kind of be able to pick things up quickly. Because if you are typically skilled and involved with like counterintelligence things,
right, and just
you should be a pretty smart individual, generally.
Yeah.
And as we know what he's already done and what he's going to do, that means to me he has to be a pretty intelligent person. And the way he acts on this episode is stupid.
Yeah.
So it kind of demeans his character to me, and I don't like it.
Do you think that maybe it's a front? Do you think that maybe he is using his nonchalant appearance in order to put up a front for people?
It's possible, but there's no indications that I've seen throughout the episode that leads me to believe that he's picking things up and trying to like keep track of things.
So, I disagree on it for a couple reasons. One, when they first come into in episode, or at the beginning of episode 8, when they first are transferring him to his floor or whatever, and they're like in the guard station or whatever, and they're at the door, and like one guard is late or whatever.
Yeah.
And they made a point of the way that they shot it, the way that they wrote it. They made a point of making a big deal about the fact that that guard was late, the fact that this guard does this guard checks this guard checks that, and Andor the whole time is looking around, like he looks like he's lost. But if later on down the road it comes back that he's just been plotting his escape this whole time, I could see that being a situation where he's watching all the guards and figuring out, okay, what guard does this, what guard does that, what's the timing look like, what are their procedures and their protocols. And then the other thing that I think that Andy Serkis is going to play, or his character is going to play a major role in that eventual prison break, right? And I think that he is trying to. I think the interaction that we saw with him, like taking a breather while they were figuring out the old guy stuff, is their attempt to show interaction between the two, so that a relationship between the two of them later on in the season isn't out of the blue or out of the question. And then the last one is when they're in line after they get shocked on the first day, not when they initially get there, but after their table loses and they get shocked, and they're like just in line for something. I don't know what. I think they're just trying to get back to their bay. There's that one guy doing sign language or whatever with the guy across, and then Andor like sees that, recognizes that he's communicating with somebody in another tunnel, and then he kind of like looks up and down across all the different tunnels. So these are all little things that I think they could call back on if that is what they're doing. If not, then it's just random shit. But
yeah, I mean,
I could see them calling back on those specific things in order to justify Andor playing this dumb front.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it is.
They could do that. The thing is that all those things could be done. The problem is we don't actually know that's his point of view. We're just seeing it as the viewer. They don't intentionally show that he is an individual that is trying to learn things. That like if he was in that, I don't know, he could be in that room, or he's just like, what's going on?
Right. That at this point, and it could be either one.
There's a way like to do it where as a viewer that he is tracking this stuff. Yeah. The thing is they don't show that. So if that is the case, then sure, I guess that would make more sense later on. Yeah. But it doesn't. It doesn't appear that way.
I hear what you're saying. I hope it's I hope it's that way, and I think it's going to be something along those lines. The only other, I don't know. The only other plausible way I could see him getting out is some kind of either Ferrix breaking him out. Which
I was going to say, I feel like he's not really going to escape. I think they're going to find out. Because the thing is, right, in this episode, we get a little bit more of Lieutenant Mira or whatever that's investigating.
Yeah.
And she proposes to the rest of her superiors or whatever and co-peers of her intentions to really push the capture Cassian and Luthen, but they don't know it's Luthen, of course. They just know a guy was with them. And so Cassian is in the system.
Right.
Now, how is it that Cassian is now in the system and he's been at this prison for what we know at least 30 days and nothing has happened? There's no way that he would not get picked up.
In today's world, no. Because we have fingerprinting, DNA, all that stuff, and he would pop. There, especially the planet that he was on, the Outer Space Miami, I don't know that they did in it. Like we didn't see that specifically.
Yeah, we haven't seen that. The problem is, I know that because that's
Right.
just a normal prison thing. So
It should be.
once he got indoctrinated into this prison, they should have at least taken a photo
Right.
of him as a prisoner, given him a number or whatever, because
Right.
that's what they're going to label everybody. And then that should have been uploaded into a system, which I imagine the ISB or whatever
Has access.
has access to pretty much anything,
Right.
even public things like cameras or whatever.
Right.
Because the scene where what's her name, Bix?
Yeah.
This is the second time they did this crap, and it's stupid to me. Somehow, a random officer is just like, "Hey, you, all the way in the back. Yeah, you specifically. I know who you are." They did the same thing when they first entered.
Right.
And they're like, "Hey, you lady. Yeah, you specifically, you out of the crowd." I don't get, how does everybody just know who Bix is?
I don't know. That
So
is
for
a
them to
good
do
point.
that and then not know that Cassian's in there, like in this prison, is kind of weird. But either way, I feel like maybe he will get picked up at some point, which will then be heard through the rebels, their systems, and then they'll find out that he's here or whatever, or they'll deduce him with communicating with each other of Bix and
Yeah.
Luthen or whatever, and then they'll figure out that he's here and help him break out.
Yeah, I think
So,
the
like,
more
Vel might
I think
help
the
him or
most
something.
plausible scenario is the most plausible scenario to me, or actually I don't want to say most. I think one of the most plausible scenarios is that Luthen's people, Cinta and Vel, find out that because they're on Ferrix right now,
Yeah.
trying to track him down. I think they are gonna find out that he ended up in prison somehow through once Vel realizes he went here, whatever. I don't know. They're
That's what I mean. They're gonna
and then they're gonna
backtrack
tell
or whatever.
Luthen, "Hey, this dude's in prison. We can't get to him, whatever." And then I think the angle that they're gonna play is Luthen being like, "Oh," because right now Luthen wants to kill him so that he can't rat him out, right? I think what the angle that they're gonna play is Luthen is gonna be like, "Oh, this dude had every opportunity to use me as leverage, right, to get out of his prison sentence or whatever, and he never did. So maybe we should save him and make him into make him a bigger part of our operation."
I don't know if that is something that Cassian could use at this current time, because he's not like in a position to really offer that to them.
I don't know. I mean, to me, it's the same thing it's a small fish offering a bigger fish to get out of the fryer.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I understand, but he's not in a facility to like really
Yeah.
make that like to these guys here. If he told that to them, they would just be like, "Oh, I don't care. You're probably just making some shit up so you can get out of here."
That's a fair point.
It's not like this is like a federal prison that's
Right.
connected directly to the empire or to the emperor or
ISB,
something.
Yeah.
That would make sense, but here
That's fair.
it wouldn't really be valuable to them. They don't care. If it was under control of the ISB, of course, that would make a lot of sense.
That's fair. We'll see. There's some different possibilities of him being able to get out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a prison break. I think that would be more interesting.
It'd be very difficult. I'll say that.
Yeah, especially with the way that they have everything, with the floors being charged and whatever.
Because everything is basically automated,
Yeah,
which is cool.
but it makes it very
Yeah,
hard
it's futuristic and stuff. Yeah, I can't imagine it'd be. I mean, regular prison's hard enough, so seems even worse.
I'm sure there's a way.
Yeah,
Just gotta
somebody will find a way.
or everybody just commit suicide like that one time.
Yeah,
I knew that was coming.
Of course.
I knew because they made it like they hinted at it
There's
so many
always
times.
somebody, yeah.
But I was just like, damn, like that's
It's to show the
mental wear that.
well, not even just that. Like, it's not, if you just say, "Oh, you're gonna get this shock again," and that's it. It's adding some what's it called? like believability to it. You know what I mean? It's not like
It's
an empty. It's not an empty threat.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's scared. It actually keeps them scared because
you see it actually work.
Yeah, it's possible for it to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And then the last thing in episode 8 that we see is a conversation between Luthen and none other than Sol Guerrera. This was, I think, the last person that I've been waiting to see.
I think so, yeah.
I think from like all the poster art and the trailer and whatnot, I think this is the last person I've been waiting to see. And I really liked this conversation because I think this conversation really gives a deeper look to what the rebellion really was in its early days. It really was just a bunch of groups of people that were pissed off for their own personal reasons, and they were all fighting the Empire on their own in their own ways. And sometimes they would help each other and trade secrets or trade stuff or whatever. But there was no clear leadership or direction for it. Everybody was just kind of doing their own thing. And Sol Guerrera is this like purist kind of guy where it's like, we're gonna fight you guerrilla style. We're not gonna do anything Empire. Like, we're gonna live in the mountains and ostracize ourselves from society. And like he's the extreme on one end.
Yeah, I'll say he's an extremist.
Yeah, he's the extreme on one end, and then we got people like Mon Mothma who are ingrained in the system and are still trying to do the right thing, but also continue to live off of the good things that the Empire has provided them. Yeah. Right. So it's just really interesting. And there's some banter back and forth between Luthen and Sol Guerrera that just shows that there, as of right now, there's no unity in the rebellion. And it's interesting because the rebellion as we know it was always just this righteous group of people trying to do the right thing. It was we never really knew it in this regard. So it's also really cool to see Sol Guerrera live action, not old and broken.
With his
because we see him in the video game, right? The Fallen Order.
Yeah.
I almost said the other things I said last time, but we see him in that like this, but it's a video game. And then the live action in Rogue One, we see him, but he's like
towards the end
dies,
of his life,
right? And so he's messed up. So it's cool to see him like this.
Yeah, for sure.
And Forrest Whitaker. Is this? No, this is not Forrest. It is Forrest.
Yeah, it's Forrest Whitaker.
God. I always get him and Lawrence Fishburne mixed up. But he's so good. So good as Sol Guerrera. Like he's so good at the character that I almost want to go fight for him. Like he's so good.
He's cool, but
he's so good at it.
Rebel scum.
Don't get me wrong. I'm Empire through and through, but like. Almost. You can hear the passion.
I would much rather do the worst thing and convert him. Turn him into a Harvey Dent.
Two-faced. You can just hear the passion in his voice, though. He's just he's so good. So far, this is definitely one of the better episodes, episode 8, and makes me pretty excited going forward. It kind of has built off of some of the things that the last few episodes have started, especially once we saw the the Garrison raid and whatnot, and things are building and things are things are just kind of like taking turns that I didn't really expect. Like, I don't know, there's a lot of different things going on with like Bix and the other dude that's on Ferrix, and their attempt to find Andor, coupled with the fact that Cinta got off of that Garrison planet somehow.
Yeah, another person that just kind of boop, teleport.
Let's just put a pin in that, or not put a pin. Let's dissect that real quick. Aldhani was attacked, and a shit ton of stuff was stolen. The ability for you to get off of the planet after that
casually,
I don't believe it. I gotta imagine that security was
well, not even just that.
Tight.
The last we saw of her was her in this officer uniform, just strolling up to the people watching the thing, and it's like, what? You jump from that to this?
You're right. How did that lead to that? You know, like where did that go? Yeah. So
I also will say in this episode, Vel hate her even more in this episode. She honestly done with this character. She's really annoying, really stupid. At least Cinta seems like she's got some head on her shoulders. But
yeah, and it was an interesting exchange between them, because obviously they were sharing a bed, and Cinta has this very cold line where she's like, "You only love me," or she's like, "I'm a mirror. You only love me because I show you what you think you want to see, or I only tell you what you want to hear." I
think it was more to the sense of I'm showing you what you need to be.
Yeah, well, whatever. Essentially, she's saying like, our relationship is not really a thing. Like, we're just the cause comes.
I mean, that's
first.
not really what I got. It was really just it is what it is, but this is what we're actually here for.
I got from it was the cause comes first, and we had fun, but it's not anything that's gonna develop into more. Is what I got from it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just, Cinta actually believes in what they're doing.
Right.
Vel, I guess it kind of just shows her as she's just there because Cinta's there, I guess.
I mean, she was sent to track Cassian Andor down, but I don't know. It's whatever. So that's episode 7 and 8, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely some progression, definitely some good things going forward. Definitely some questionable things, but a lot of foreshadowing, a lot of things to look forward to. It'll be very interesting to see how Andor gets out of prison. It'd also be interesting to see how much of a time jump they make. Like, how long is this going to take? They've already fast forwarded 30 days, right? So how much more time are they going to fast forward out of that 6 years he's supposed to spend there before they get him out or whatever. Excuse me. So let us know what you guys thought of episode 7 and 8. It's an interesting one. I'm looking forward to next week. Get more information on what's going on. But yeah, let us know what you guys thought down in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, comment, share with a friend. Check us out on social media on Instagram and Twitter, Any Kind Media Cast, and Any Kind Media Cast. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Bye, guys.